Good evening, viewers, and welcome to The Price of Fame. My name is Lunga Tshuka, and I'll be your host. So, The Price of Fame is a podcast that focuses on the real stories about the journey to success, from the moment of realization of one's gift or purpose. And in these conversations, we aim to share the light on the hardships, the sacrifice, and the mindsets our guests have to overcome to achieve the current position in their career. And these are their stories. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest is a South African comedian, actress, writer, and producer. From achievements when she got actually starting from as early as 2005, the years that follow after that was nothing but gaining knowledge and heavy hitters and growth. Heavy hitters like producing her own musicals, producing her own one-woman comedy specials, to winning awards in comedy, winning awards in acting, and also being part of award-winning productions. And Cape Town and South Africa wasn't enough for her, so she had to go overseas and leave a mark in places like New York City, Amsterdam, London, Scotland, and Chicago. And best believe she ain't done yet. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome to the screen the very talented Shimmy Isaacs.
What should we get, bro? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What an intro, bro. I wanted to cry.
Oh man, it's all true. It is all true. And
yeah.
You've done a lot.
Well, I think when people run it down like that for me, then I kind of go, oh, damn, okay, yeah, I did all of that. And it doesn't blow my mind that I've done it. It blows my mind that I haven't given up on myself, which I think is the epitome of what my brand and what I'm about.
Absolutely. And when I do this intro, I sum up most of the things, because in the bio, like, it's every year you did some huge achievement. Like every year you can be like, wow, I actually made this achievement. At the end of the year, be like, wow, actually I made this achievement. Like literally, like I said, from 2005, you didn't stop hitting hard. You weren't just part of things. You were literally winning, like having an award or producing or being part of some big kind of thing. So I salute you and lots of respect to you, Shami. And you probably have so much knowledge and experience from both sides, being in front of the camera and behind the camera. But we'll get into that. We will get into the juicy parts of all of that later. But otherwise, how are you doing this evening?
But I didn't have a good day. Today was a day where life happened. You know what I mean? And when I say life happens, it's like people sending me like emails, like wanting stuff that they're not, it's just business. And then going to an audition, oh no, you were an hour early even though you were scheduled for this time. It's like it was one of those days where life happened, and and then my cousin gave birth, so I'm an aunt, so it's just like so many things going on, and I'm trying to manage everything, and I think it's really okay to say like today wasn't a good day, like today was a bit of like oh man, I needed some faith, man. Woo! I needed to put like a lock in front of my mouth and be like woo, okay.
Yes. No, we get days like that, and it's very true.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
we can't always balance and have this amazing days, where we just
exactly.
I just know how to say my mantras and all of that thing. Sometimes we do get thrown off balance, and that's just reality. Because everything around us is off balance sometimes.
Exactly. And that is just like I say, when life happens, I like to think that it's not happening to me, but it's happening for me. Whatever moment or whatever scenario I find myself within, because even within the chaos or within the frustration, I am learning something about myself. Something is being revealed to me about myself, whether it's behavior, whether it's I maybe need to speak up a little bit more, or maybe it is that I need to practice tolerance a little bit more. So there's always something I try to, even if it was one of those like days, I have to like do a reflection of the day and a little inventory and go, okay, what part did I play in today that did not, that added to the level of anxiety that I experienced? So yeah.
I love that, because what you just mentioned there is accountability. What part did I play? Because it's so easy to say this and this and that, and not look at your own doing, because we create what we experience at the end of the day. So what part did I play? And I love that. And like I said, you have so much wisdom, so that's why you can speak like that and be like that. And you can actually pick up and catch yourself and take some accountability for some of your contribution to the way that you felt today or how the day played out. Because something could have been small and you maybe just allowed yourself to just carry on this negativity with the next 3 or 4 people that you deal with. You somehow bring the negativity with you, so that could be
exactly. Or you have a preconceived idea of what you think their thought was or intentions were before even like asking the question, yo, is this what your intentions were? But I think look, we all fall into that trap, right? Into making up assumptions, into living, like trying to figure out what we think people think about us. That's the biggest mistake that I think human beings make today, is trying to get into people's heads, or have people participate in their emotions without sharing it. That makes life very complex, and it makes it just, it makes it hard to kind of have a dialogue. So I think that as human beings, we kind of need to just practice a little bit of tolerance, but at the same time, we have to practice accountability, which is something you just so eloquently expressed. And that is what I think is lacking, because it is easy for us to kind of point the finger away from the part that we play in society or the contributions we bring to the productivity of a healthy society. And it is none of us want to do that. It's not nice. I don't always feel good about things that I realize about myself, but at least I have the courage and I have the willingness to know that it's something I can change. And if it's something I can change, you better bet your behind I'm gonna face myself and be like, because I'm not like a hamster in this wheel just going around and around and coming back to the same place. So something's got to give. And most of the times that is, how do I change my behavior or my perspective,
I honestly love that, because like you said, and like I said, I can just see where this conversation is going, because it's going to be so much wisdom. I'm looking forward to all that. I mean, those two things, like you just said, are very, very powerful. Tolerance. The more that we have more patience and tolerance for people, our fellow people, the more that we can learn and understand, and the more that we can move and communicate with our people and collaborate. And taking accountability is a huge step in growth, because then how, where you are in it wrong. You're not always perceiving things. So that's also changes that perception of, like you're saying, we were speaking earlier of like, what are these people saying, what are they thinking? And that is kind of like the same room when you want to achieve stuff, or you want to go for things. You're like, oh, what are they going to say? How are they going to look at me? And then you actually stop yourself with anyone even knowing what you dreamt of, but you killed your dream already, before that people even said anything.
Right. I think the other thing I want to add to that as well, Lunga, is that I think we're trying to live in other people's realities as opposed to our own. Right?
Yes.
And because we're trying to live in other people's realities of what we think they think of us and of everything, we will never find contentment and we will never find inner peace. Right? And none of those things of the above that you and I spoke of just now can happen without a level of compassion. Okay, so in order to have tolerance, you need to have a level of compassion. In order to have patience, in order to find acceptance of others and oneself, you must have and practice compassion, and that comes just through vigorous, I like to call it vigorous dissecting myself. I mean, a couple of years ago, I did intense work on myself. I got sober 7 years ago, and that's a big part of my mental health today, and that's a big part of my spiritual health, where I practice sobriety from alcohol and drugs, right? And so I understood that in order to get to a place where I just liked myself today, just a little bit, just a little bit today,
Yeah.
I was going to have to give up some stuff. And I
Yes.
love the title of the show, The Price of Fame, because for me,
Yes.
it was, at what cost am I living an unhealthy, unfocused, anxious, fearful, like at what cost am I doing that
Mm,
just to have a good time or to escape something I'm not ready to face? And I think the price for me was losing the ability to write and losing the ability to do what I know is a God-given gift. Since the age of 5, I knew what I wanted to do. And if I lose that, if I lose
yes.
my ability to act, to perform, to write, to connect with people, then take me now, God. I was like, I'm out. and and for me, that is a priceless thing. So no human being, none of their opinions, none of their whatever it is they think of me or whatever, none of that can compare the spiritual awakening that I experienced 7 years ago when I made that decision to take myself, to AA. And I've been part of a fellowship, and this is actually the very first time that I mention the words AA. I hope my sponsor doesn't mind. I know, but she's cool. So I have a support system around me that helps me navigate into and through a very crazy world of entertainment.
Shimmy. Wow. I feel like I can end this interview right there. You should drop a mic just there. Boom.
Man,
that
hold up,
that
hold
like
up, hold up. I'm gonna drop.
why
I'm gonna
didn't
drop
you
my
ever
shampoo. I'm gonna drop my shampoo. Bam.
drop it? Drop it. Drop it. Drop it. Oh, oh
Money,
my
money,
God.
money. Op breinvrou so
Bam, bam, bam,
shampoo gooi nie.
bam. Shami, honestly, we've been friends for quite some time now, and
Yeah,
I kind of had an idea that you were, you had those challenges, obviously, but we spoke about it a little bit, I think, on stage. But like, obviously, we
yeah.
don't go into detail, because we're trying to lift
Sure,
people's spirits. So you
sure.
covered a little bit of you being through challenges, or actually being recovering and all of that stuff. But listening to you speak right now, and like I feel so silly. Like, why didn't we ever have this conversations in person? Because like I could sit and listen to you and just learn from you all day. You dropped so many jewels right there. I love the transformation that you spoke of, because this is basically what the podcast is about: the price of fame, the
Yeah.
journey. All of the stuff, the hardships, the sacrifices, and the achievements, and even that spiritual awakening that you spoke of. I mean, even the jewels that you dropped: tolerance, accountability, and the third one, which is the very, very strong one, a very, very strong one. And I feel like once you learn that one, you can easily practice the other ones, and which is compassion. When you just sit back and try and understand, until try and be loving, until come and still come from a place of loving and understand and peace for whatever situation, whatever character that you might face, just to dissect what's actually going on in here. What part do I play in this? How do I control this? How do I react to all of this? So
Yeah.
that is jewels right there. And I want to get into all of that, but I have to ask, how is 2021 been for you before we get into all of that lovely, juicy knowledge that you just spit there in the beginning?
Um, 2021 has been incredible. 2020 was incredible too. I must say that, despite the hardship that the entire world experienced. I was able to work throughout the pandemic online. I was lecturing. I was running a workshop with my Canadian co-writer up in Canada, with some Canadian writing participants who either wants to get into screenwriting or wants to know how to like better their format. So I was able to make a couple of dollars. I was able to finish the feature film. I was writing a feature film for Gambit. It's a rom-com, and and normally with a screenplay in South Africa, they want you to finish it, in a short amount of time. Normally it takes quite an excessive amount of time to do that, but we were able to do that, and it was an incredible experience. So for me, 2020 was where I kind of laid the foundation for a lot of the writing that I intended on doing for 2021. 2021, one of my series that I just finished for the SABC actually just went into production yesterday. So we started filming yesterday, and I wrote the entire 13-part series. Not conceptualized by me, but I'm the head writer and I'm the only writer. So some beautiful things have happened for me in 2021, and again, that is because I decided to finish what I started.
Well done. Absolutely. That sounds like a very eventful year so far. And wow, like I said, every year you just want to have some like a whole I feel like every year is a Hall of Fame. You have a whole Hall of Fame for every year. Like boom, this I did this, boom. But it's good. I mean, and like you're saying, you've had your challenges, and even through all of those challenges, if you actually look at the end of the year, you had so much good achievements that people take maybe 3 years or take a couple of years to achieve that stuff. And you've done it in this year, and then you're like, on to the next one. Boom, achievement, on to the next one, And I mean, it just tells us, and it gives us a clear example of what kind of character you have, how hard you even work, and how much you actually have to believe in yourself to achieve all of these things. Because yes, you can be part of it, but to achieve like a huge achievement, like an award, or like write something, or to be part of a production like that, that's a huge achievement. And it's like hours and stress and anxiety and all of that you deal with. And you welcomely put yourself through it just to achieve it at the end of the day.
Well, there's also intention behind why I work that hard. There's a clear intention of why I work this hard. And I know to some people it appears, it's just happening for me now. It's been a 20-year career that I've had. I've laid the foundation. It is my time. I deserve this. Absolutely.
Yes.
I deserve this. Absolutely. Yes. It is my time. It is my season. I did not lie. I did not take from anyone to have the season. So it is my season, and oh yeah. I work extremely hard, and I love what I do, but I am very intentional with why I'm doing this. It's because, don't forget, I also get to own. I get to own my voice. I get, as a head writer, as the sole writer of a 13-part series and a co-writer of a feature and the sole creator of another sitcom, I own my brown, Black, South African narrative. And that is why I do what I do. It's so that we can own our stories for a change, and we write them in our authentic voice. And that is why I do what I do, so that we can steer the narrative away from the depiction of who people think we are in this country. And the only way that I can eradicate the frustrations I feel is if I write.
Yeah, you have to create your own. You have to create your own. Because it's gonna take them so long to finally hear us and understand us and see us, we might as well do our own. Let us show you then. You don't know what? Let us show you then. I love that. So let's take it back to the
Exactly.
beginning, actually, the very, very young
Oh,
Shimmy Isaac. Tell us how it all started. I would love to know how it all unfolded until the person we are today. Let's go back.
man. Okay. Okay, so I knew, like I said, I was about 5 when I knew what I wanted to do, like solidly knew. You couldn't get me away from the TV. You couldn't. I imitated every single person that came into our lives, whether it was socially or family, whatever the case may be. Okay, my favorite sitcom growing up in a small town, Worcester. For your viewers, Worcester is in die Boland. Okay, it's a small dorp, like town, in the heart of these beautiful Drakens mountains, right? So when I say small, I'm really just referring to the cultural mentality that I grew up with, where everything was either black or it was white. There was no in between. There was no in between. You either spoke Afrikaans or you didn't.
Yes.
And very conservative town, a town where there's many churches. It's true,
Yes.
So because that has an impact on just my upbringing. My mother is a Christian, and so I kind of was different. I just was always different, Lunga. I don't know why, and I don't care to know why. I just know I like it. It's cool, and I always had a thing for languages. Growing up, I would do accents and I would imitate and do things like that, and of course I was called crazy and I was called insane and made fun of, because I just lived very freely, and when you are told as a child that you are crazy or don't
Yes.
behave like that, that's very dangerous. I believe is when you kind of, you limit somebody's personality. And my
Yes.
parents were incredible. My parents were incredible. That that they never told me I couldn't do something. They never told me to keep quiet. As conservative as my mother was, she would just shake her head and go, "I don't know. Ooh, I just leave her. I don't know. I don't know."
Yeah.
She's like, "Look, we'll pray for her. It's fine. We'll pray." Oh, Jesus. But
Yeah.
I must say, in the earlier years of my childhood and adolescent years, I was going to a predominantly white school, back then known as a Model C school, and so 80% of my
Yes.
friends were white. And they were also everyone that was in art school, because I took art. And there weren't a lot of brown and black students at that time that participated in the art program. So I was like one out of, I don't know, maybe 10 kids that did it. And so I was also the only kid of color in my art school. And loved my friends, because we were just into art. We were all about the art. And that for me was probably the greatest escape. But bear in mind, I'm going to a predominantly white school and I'm living in an all brown, like Worcester neighborhood. So I would have to, now back in the apartheid years, there was one road, because I was born 81, people. Yes, I felt a little bit of apartheid, okay? We had one main road, right, that separated the brown communities from the white communities. Worcester was brilliant in segregating us. And then we would have the predominantly black, Xhosa speaking, Sotho Zulu speaking communities way on the other side. So when I went to that school and saw white people, I didn't even know they were white people. Let me tell you, I felt like I was in an M. Night Shyamalan movie, dude. I saw it was like The Village, where it was just us. I didn't know there were like black and white people. And the funny thing is, I have a cousin who's Xhosa, right? Like full-fledged, right? But in our household, you know how we grow up, like she was like us. So we didn't, but I had no idea that there was an entire different, and that's why I say Worcester in the structure of the apartheid regime in a town like that was done excellent because they knew how to keep us separate. People in the brown community, we had our own town, so we never had a reason to go the other way. There were banks built up there for us, so we never needed to cross. So now I'm in high school, I'm finally crossing that road, and I'm on the other side where I'm now experiencing and I'm exposed to something. I was like, what? Like, girl, your eyes are blue. That's nice. Blue eyes, But those things, I got curls, girl. And but my friends were incredible, I must say. I always feel like I was protected by my higher power, just through these journeys, because it was tough. I went home and I was ridiculed. I was called a coconut, and by grade 9, I had signed myself out from the Afrikaans school, and I'd signed the Afrikaans classes, and signed myself in to the English classes, because Worcester Gymnasium was also the only bilingual school in town, and I wanted to finish my education in English. Don't ask me why. I just felt very connected to the language. I felt more expressive. I don't know why. It's not like I don't like Afrikaans because I speak it. I do well in it. I'm pretty okay in Afrikaans. But So that's what I did, and my parents had no idea until they saw my report. And of course, they couldn't understand what the hell was going on because they're Afrikaans, and they're like, Mets? Mommy, it's Vaskunda. Huh? So that's the kind of kid I was. I would sign up for certain sport stuff during different terms, and my parents would just realize that they have to pay for things because I just did everything. I wanted to do everything, And funny enough, the more I felt I was ridiculed and bullied, the more I knew that my way of life and who I was right. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yes. So jump to, I graduated high school 16 years old, going on to 17 years. Now, at that time, the school system setup was different. Holidays was different. We, by the beginning of September, were pretty much done with school. We had done our exams and stuff. And so I was 16 and I turned 17 in my final year. And at that time, my parents had gone through a divorce, so things were a little bit touchy, and we left our family home, and I was really gutted. I was gutted. I love my father. We were the closest family in my world. In my world, it was impossible for anything to happen to us. So I was utterly gutted by the demise of our family at that time. And the one thing I remember, Lunga, on the last day, right? Because it got a bit ugly towards the end, and we were practically thrown out of our home, and when you stand in the road in this middle class community of teachers and policemen, and and you stand outside with all your furniture, and you just, as a kid, you kind of feel the gaze. And that was my first experience with utter shame. My first experience with feeling utter shame, ashamed, and people that were our friends, I thought, or family friends, were kind of, when you, I'm just going to make sort of this happened. Like they just literally, I saw this happen like this, and something dawned on me in that moment, because I watched my mother, who was carrying my 6-year-old sister. My sister was 6 at the time, and she had her on the hip.
Yes.
And I watched my mother walk down that road with all these eyes gazing at her. And that image, it won't ever leave me, because I think that is part of why I work so hard, because I don't want to make anyone or any family member ever feel that ever again, ever. Okay. And something had to be done. Something had to be done. But the only way it could be done is if I leave and go and give myself the life that I know I was destined to have, and it's not going to be in Worcester. And I packed my bags. My grandmother gave me 100 rand, and I took a taxi, a minibus taxi, also in South Africa, and I came to Cape Town, completely bewildered, standing by Belleville, stealing a train from Belleville to Cape Town station, and just making my way through the gates. I don't know what I was thinking, but there I was, and I had nowhere to sleep. And the only thing I knew was that I was going to act and I was going to write. That's all I knew, And I've been to Cape Town before, and I knew my way around a little bit. And I walked to the gardens, and I remember ended up sleeping at the Italian embassy, which is, I think, close to, or Spanish embassy, one of the two, close to St. Martini Gardens. And I remember sitting in a corner, but the security guard came to me. And this is a story, brother. Security guard comes up to me, and he sees me sitting shivering, and he goes, hey, youngie, girl, what you doing in it? Huh? And I'm like, bruh, I'm not from here. I'm hoping to find my friends, whatever. And he looked at me, bruh, and I will never forget this man. I mean, I'm sure he doesn't work there anymore. But he looked at me and he said, sissy man, you don't belong here, man. Hey, when you don't belong here, man. What you do? No. And when he said, you don't belong here, and he handed me a blanket, and I remember sleeping there. It was very cold on the concrete, right? But that's neither here nor there. He said, you don't belong here. And I was like, God, this is not my life. When you just have that moment, like, I mean, it's not everyone's journey. And please, I'm not saying pack your bags and leave, people. But that is the way my journey kind of panned out. And that was really the first experience I had with my higher power that was that strong, And the next day, I called one of my white friends. She was living in Cape Town with her brother. Her name is Estratia Savas, my Greek friend. And she didn't ask any questions. And she picked me up and she said, you can stay for as long as you want, as long as you act. Come on, as long as you act. And that was a moment in experience. And again, I'm highly blessed and favored by my higher power, because nothing happened to me, thank God, but that is sort of where it all started. And then I was working in retail, and I was doing clothing in my best friend Shane's vintage store. I was selling, and through that I met a lot of filmmakers, and I met a lot of fashion and stylists and all of those types of people, and I ended up doing wardrobe on sets for them. So things started sort of falling into place, I would say, towards a creative world for me, which is what I wanted. But I also knew, I wanted to study, but I also knew I didn't have money, again, stuff happened in the family, found money was gone, all kinds of stuff, right? Found out that my dad at the time had used up all our study policy money, and and that broke me. That really did break me, because I knew that studying and education was going to be my way out. It was going to be my mental freedom.
Yes.
It was going to be the thing that's going to be my weapon. Anyway, that didn't happen. And I'm telling you the story not to make my dad seem out to be a bad guy. He's damaged and he's spiritually sick, but he's an incredible human being who's flawed. I love my father, and we have an incredible relationship today. This is what happened about 20 years ago. And that was what finally led me to just go, it's up to me. It's up to me. So I had a plan. I was going to work, whether it was waitressing, whether it was cleaning windows, all of the things which I've done, whether it was assisting, whatever it was, I was going to do that if it means it's going to get me closer to my dream. And with every little bit of money that I made, I would put it away and I would go to acting workshops with professionals, with complete professionals, And so by the time I got my scholarship at the age of 21, I had already built up a lot of credit. I went to a community arts school that I paid for with my waitressing money, and it was sort of like a community arts. It's called Community Arts Project, right, in Woodstock back in the day, called CAP. Yes. So we paid 600 Rand for the year, and I would go to school 3 days out of the week. But I was learning playmaking, I was learning poetry, I was learning writing, I was just being creative. I loved it. So at the age of 21, I get a call from Garth Holmes, who had gone through my file and called my agent at the time, APM. I did have an agent, Janet Duplessis. Yes. Took me on with no qualifications. I owe her a bouquet of flowers, but with no qualifications, she took a chance on me. And when Garth called, she said, "You need to see Shimmy Isaacs." Janet has never seen me perform. We've only spoken, and yet she had that level of belief in me. That's incredible. And I had a meeting with Garth Holmes, and he looked at my file. And he closed it and he said, "Acting or directing?" And I said, "Acting." And he said, "You're 20, 21 soon. I'm going to put you straight into second year." Lunga, I got up from his chair and we went straight into the classroom. He dropped me there. And I was like, and that was me for 3 months. 3 months. My girlfriend at the time, I was living with my partner at the time, Monica. And I remember not telling her where I was going every morning, and she thought I was like, she's like, "Girl, you cheating?" I was like, "No, girl." Because I think when you are conditioned to a level of disappointment that I've been as a child,
okay.
When great things happen, you don't believe it because you're so used to it either being taken or it's just not real. So when you get to that level of conditioning, I wasn't sure if it was real. And again, that was a different internal process that then had to begin for me, because now I have it, but the key word or the key question was, what do I do with it? Emotionally, mentally, because I don't fit into this private film institution with these rich kids. And I'm running to school every morning. I'm taking 2 taxis, a train. And if I don't have money, I'm leaving my house at 7 a.m. to be at school at 9 a.m. walking. And then I got to get back after 5, which is when school ended, and then I have to be at the restaurant at 6 p.m. and work till 3 a.m. and then I got to be up again at 6 or 7 a.m. latest to get to school. So that was my life for 5 years. That was my life for 5 years. I paid my own rent. I paid my own bills. I had a scholarship, and I had to show up for myself. And I think that takes immense courage, and that takes immense perseverance, you know. So now and now I'm here, and then I went to New York and whatever, and I wrote some stuff, and I came back and became super famous.
Okay, like you actually covered so much of some of the questions that I wanted to ask, because I was going to dig into the challenges, and you actually highlighted what your challenges were and how you persevered through that. I have 2 questions though from that. First one is, when did you actually move to comedy? Because all this time I thought that I met you as a comedian, you know, so I thought that that's the first thing that you did in the industry. That's your first experience of the industry. But clearly it started with acting and writing and being part of productions and that kind of thing. So when did comedy actually start for you? And you have so much huge achievements in comedy as well. When did you realize that you are actually funny?
I didn't know I was funny. Because all my accolades at university was for dramatic performances. I mean, I even got an award for Shakespeare. Lord, Shakespeare. Hello, darling. You know, I think we were playing. I can't remember if it was Macbeth or something like that. You know, but I am physically trained. So I studied classical theatre. I studied under the incredible eye of Rob Murray and Andrew Buckland, some of their physical training in theatre. I studied music. So when I say I'm classically trained, I literally studied every aspect of what a performer should. I did stunts. That was one of my majors in my second year. I did music, physical theatre, and then I also did acting for screen, and then writing, and so forth and so forth. I knew that I was an all-rounder. But Rustam, August, and I went to high school together. Who started? Rustam, myself, Gino Fernandez, Milo, and Zinzi. We started the very first stand-up show. We started in 2008 in Long Street, Zulaba. And I had just quit my job at Afda as a lecturer, because I was a lecturer too, believe it or not. I was too young. I was about I was very young. I was about 25. You know, and I was teaching adults. And even though I loved what I did and I knew I was good at it, it wasn't enough. What? You know, I'm fresh out of university. Yes, I have these degrees, blah blah, but I haven't lived, I haven't experienced, I haven't applied anything that I've learned. So what was the point of going to university if I'm just going to stay there, you know? And so I was broke, bruh. I was like, I had just come back from a casting that I left. I walked out of it because I was annoyed, man. I was sitting with all these models, and I'm going looking to my right models, and I'm looking to my left models, and my number says 317. I'm number 317. And I'm just like, Lunga, this cannot be my life. I have gone through too much. I slept on the streets. I felt them concrete. You know, when you're like, girl, you've been through too much. And I think that was probably my second iconic spiritual and I like to call them spiritual interventions. And what that means for me is when there is an acknowledgement of my great potential that I know is within me. I knew sitting there that I was too damn good. I'm too damn good for somebody to affirm that I'm too damn good. You know? I know. I mean, this is the process of the industry. I'm not saying it sucks, but it sucks. You know, you know, it, and I walked out, and I never went back there. I never, ever, ever went back there. And on that afternoon, I bump into Rustin August, and he's like, "Yo, Shims." I'm like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" He's like, "Yo, you still do this acting stuff?" I'm like, but you don't want to know what I just." I'm like, my mood is like, and he's like, "Yo, check this out. Uh, I want to do this comedy thing, this stand-up comedy thing." Lunga, I had no idea what it was. I was like, "What? You want to do what?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Stand up, comedy, whatever." I'm like, "Wait, so you stand on the stage?" So bear in mind, I had no idea who the Chris Rocks of the world was. I wasn't into comedy. I was into theater. And also I wasn't really following American comedy like that at all.
Yeah.
My favorite comedian of all time is Martin Lawrence, but I met him in a sitcom. So in my mind, he was just an actor who was really funny. I'd never seen a stand-up of his,
Yes.
And so now I'm hearing about stand-up. Like, what is that? And he goes, "Man, you can do this." And I'm like, "Wait, is it so you on a stage, just talk, talk, talk?" I'm like, "But that's like a one-woman show, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I like that, Jimmy." I'm like, "No, no, no, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I need the money, guys, whatever, whatever." So I write my first 5 minute set. Man, it was fire, fire, fire. And we kick off our very first night at Zula Bar. I'm the only girl. There is a video of that floating around somewhere. That very first set, I was so butch. Damn, man. Oof. I was wearing, like, I don't know. I think I had on like army pants or something. I thought that was very cool. But I murdered. It was a standing ovation. And when you have a standing ovation for a 5 minute set, and you're like, "Hold up." And then I got money in my hand, cash. I was like, "Man, this comedy thing might just work out." Because now I had nobody that I needed to depend on. And at that time that comedy came and found me, I had already produced and written theater pieces. My very first theater piece was a musical comedy with 5 of my mates.
Wow.
And so I had already done that. So I knew how to work the stage. I knew how to produce, and that's kind of where I understood that this was going to be the vehicle to build the Shimmy Isaacs brand. People are going to know my name. I'm not going to be a character. They're going to know my name. And that was key, is that you will know me. You will know my name first, and then you will know the work that I do. Because I think in South Africa, everybody knows every character in a soapy, but they have no idea who the artist is. And that's sad. And so I was intentional enough to use comedy as my vehicle to launch the Shimmy Isaacs brand. But at the same time, comedy gave me the opportunity to really skillfully be the performer that I've wanted to be. I could literally live out every performance I enjoy about myself, and I could really live out every skill that I know I was really good at. I can go into an accent in a character like this. You've seen me, brother. I changed just like this in front of your eyes, and I knew that with that skill, I was able to wow the audience. And they didn't care if I was a woman. They just cared, is she skillful? Is she funny? And is she better than somebody? You know what I mean? So for me, I knew what I was good at. Because at the time, there was no guy that could do what this chick could do on stage. On stage, bruh. I mean, I can take you from Caprice in Clifton all the way to Kimberley. And I confidently stand in that. Yeah, but I confidently stand in that, but I work at it every single time.
Yeah. And Shimmy, let's jump into one of your, let's say, your biggest challenges, where we briefly spoke about it, where you said like you had a bit of a small journey of substance abuse to the point where it kind of like made you lose your gift and your talents and your power, and you're like, wow, this is not me. That's when you needed to make the change. But let's speak about how, because I couldn't pick up in your story where that actually came into your journey. So can you take us to the
That's
moment where
very,
that came into your
yeah,
journey
that
and
happened.
how rough it
Yeah.
was?
The interesting thing is it was a 4-year period, and I think I'm very mindful talking about this because A, I'm not a doctor, and B, I'm not a psychiatrist. I am speaking from the experience of somebody that has found a level of
It's your
healing and
story.
recovery. Yeah. So I just need to make that clear to your viewers. This is purely, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the organization or the institute, whatever it is, which is AA. I'm not. This is me, Shimmy Isaacs. This is my words. And it's important to state that. Okay, because there are traditions that we follow,
Yes.
and there's a program that I follow and that I live by or try to
Okay.
live by, but to the best of my abilities, because it is not a cure, but it is a way of life, and it is a way that I can cope through when life comes at me like today, that I know that I don't need anything to not feel what I'm supposed to feel.
Yes.
So it was a very short stint. It was a short stint. And it happened very late in my life. Believe it or not, it happened very late in my life. I think it was about in my 30s, early 30s, when the excessive drinking began. Right. And the funny thing is, I never liked it. I really never liked alcohol. But, it's just the social norm, and it's what we all did and whatnot, and so forth and
Give me
so
another
forth.
one.
Exactly. And no, don't worry. Ask me, pay for you. I'll pay for you. It's fine. I'll pay for you, pay for you, pay for you. So I think because I'm such an honest person with myself, that it really, it played a big part in my relationship with my girlfriend at that particular time. And it wasn't nice. I became someone I didn't recognize. I didn't. I absolutely didn't. I had stuff that I didn't even know was stuff. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you start drinking or just socially because you're having fun, right? Because you're having fun, and that's part of that.
Yes.
And when you get to a place where you're no longer drinking to have fun, but just to escape or just to cover up whatever it is, that's where I became a bit like, okay, because now I'm not, I'm waking up with hangovers, and I'm not producing, I'm not writing, I'm not answering my phone, I'm not getting back to people. Your life start to kind of unravel. My girlfriend and I are fighting all the time. I'm lying to her, but I'm not cheating, so my justification is you should be fine with that. And it's all of these things that kind of was happening. And I think we put together what, 3 years? And then towards the end, she said, you have a problem, like, of that relationship. She pretty much said to me, I have a problem, but of course there's a level of denial. But I knew I had a problem. I knew I had a problem. Something just was not right. And perhaps I at that particular time did not have the words to articulate that I needed help. But, because we first go with, well, I'm just not going to drink today. Right. And so it goes on and on and on. And then you have this like just insane kind of, spiritual kind of like roller coaster. Is just a nightmare. This like spiritual malady over and over and over. What, tomorrow. Oh, maybe I should cut down on this and just keep to that. And so it was just this insanity that was going on. And meanwhile, I wasn't creating. And it started to really bother me, because I knew that I am chosen by my higher power to do what I do. And I wasn't honoring that gift. I wasn't honoring that gift. And then in 2014 is when I was so broken. This is really the first time I'm talking about this, and I'm so proud to speak about it to you because we have a very good relationship, and I really respect you as a human being and as an artist. So thank you for the space
Likewise.
and making me feel safe sharing the story. It's something that I keep very private because there's a space that I can share that with my fellow people. Um, and so I walked myself into rehab, literally walked myself. And and again, the drinking was drinking combined with other stuff and so forth and so forth. But the key thing was that alcohol was my driving force. And I literally walked in to rehab, and I was just lost, man. I was like, I need help. I mean, at that time I had a career. I was the funniest. I was the seventh funniest woman in the country. Showbiz has done, I had done huge shows. I traveled overseas. I'd done this, I'd done that, and so once I got myself into the program
Yeah.
and we got to the work, once I got to work, and I have to say, I walked in and I never looked back. I need to say that. I walked in and I asked for help and I never looked back. And it's only by the grace of God that I kept going. And that was the first time, that was the very first time that Shimmy Isaacs, self made, intelligent, empowered, she done all of this. She come from the gutters and she lifts herself up. And that was the first time that that giant, powerful woman became a kid, and I just was like, I need help. And that was the most humbling experience I've ever experienced in my life. And it's an incredible feeling. Yes, I was broken, but man, just going, I need help. And then knowing that help is there, man, that changed everything for me. I kept my mouth shut. I did everything they said because I'm a smart cookie. I will take you on. Well, how do you mean? Well, I don't know. I would negotiate everything. I was done. I was done. I was so sick of myself. I was done. And I did everything, and I have an incredible team of people that I'm very connected to still over there, and I did rehab for what? It was like a 6-week program, right? And through this process, guys, I have to tell you, through this process, my family supported me immensely. And that was the first time that we as a family had therapy. I was in therapy for 3 years solid. I never missed a beat. I
Wow.
committed to myself. When I got into recovery, I stopped working for a whole year. I didn't work for a whole year. I chose me. My best friend took care of me for that time. He invested in me by taking care of me and allowing me to stay with him. But I did what I needed to do, and I understood that it was going to take hard work. So I didn't perform. I didn't do anything. I did my recovery. I went to meetings because I really needed to get to a mental and spiritual fitness within myself in order to really understand my next phase in society and how I was going to interact with society and my environment. It was key that I had a solid foundation,
Yes.
going back into the industry. And I did that, and I don't regret doing it. I didn't miss stage at all during that year because I was doing something that I knew that when I do come back to stage, it was going to be long lasting. God willing, it was going to be long lasting, and I don't need to go and take breaks like I did, you know. So yeah, so it is not, I'm not cured. It's a lifelong journey, you know. I try to do it to the best of my
Absolutely.
abilities. I have a program, a daily program, and again, I'm not perfect at it, but I apply practice and I try to get better and better. you know. And I think just choosing me every time, and knowing that I am an incredible human being, and that I am worth every little bit that I do, and that I produce. I'm worth every little bit of that. And so through that process, a lot of stuff came up for me, that I didn't even know. I didn't know what I was
Yes.
doing. I had all this money, I had all this success, and I had no idea what to do with it because nobody was navigating that for me. I wasn't told how to spend my money or how to save my money or how to invest my money. I wasn't told how to handle fame. I mean, yeah, what? I was 26, 27, but I was a kid. I mean, I'm still a kid in my heart,
Yeah.
but I was a kid, like a fish. I'd done all these things, and I'd sort of done them by myself, and you know and
Yeah.
yeah, so that was an interesting journey, and one that needed to happen in order for me to have a better understanding of why I function the way that I do, and why I'm different. But like I say, I don't care about the why I'm different anymore. I just like that I'm different. I think that was an important place for me to get to, was I don't have to question why I'm different. I just
Yeah.
like being different.
Yes. Wow, that is so powerful, Shami. And like you said, like wow, it's so much transformation that had to happen in that process. And is it
Hmm.
actually safe to say that that was probably the first time you actually ever processed your trauma, your childhood
Oh
trauma? Because
man,
I mean,
yeah.
what you've been through with having to live and having to build all that stuff, you never really took a chance for a moment to speak to anyone about that because you kept on going because you're like, I can't look back, I can't slow down. And all of this trauma was just hanging there waiting for you. Show me, jy kan my hart loop, ek gaan vir jou vang. And no, you
Exactly,
never
my
knew
bro.
how to process it. And that's kind of what put you in that position. You didn't want to be there. You were focused even in the time, because you said even in the time you knew like something's not right, but I can't
Yeah,
stop myself right now, because you needed to process that trauma that you had going through growing up. And
yeah,
for you to actually like get up and be like, this ends here, because this is not me. This is not the person that said, I'm going to leave and keep running. I'm going to do whatever
yeah.
it takes, even if it means I must shut up. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to build myself up again. I salute you, Shami, because a lot of people do not come back from that. There's still people today that hang on to their trauma and make excuses for how they act today because of their trauma and don't want to grow. And you broke through all of that, and you still, like you say, today you are still fighting and doing a program every single day. Wow, 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 Shami. I mean,
I had to. I
no one
had
picks
to,
up their life by
Lunga.
themselves. No one picks up their lives by
No.
themselves that easily. And you did it.
Yeah. But not by myself. I think that is the beauty of this. And this is what I want to get through to people is there are some things I cannot do by myself. And I had to come to that realization, because you got to understand,
Absolutely.
I was running on self-will. Okay, that's very detrimental to one's evolution and one's process is self-will, right? And that's why, in the third step, we talk about, handing my will in life over to the will of God. So, and when
Yes.
you run on self-will and ego, man, petrol is expensive. Let me tell you that. Okay, you're gonna run out of fuel sometime, and you know, and
Yes.
and again, and I what I have to say is, I think sometimes we're it's not easy to be vulnerable, right? Especially when you have created an
Mm.
idea of what you think people see you as. Because I was the life of the party. I mean, Shimmy walks into the room, don't worry, Shimmy got this, right? I got you, boo. I was like this, I was like, yeah, that,
Yeah.
and shine, probably with good intention, probably. Let's give her that. Um, but again, it was at a cost of feeling of feeling a sense of affirmation through things that wasn't serving me. It wasn't serving me. And I couldn't see that at the time. Now everybody's time of
Yes.
seeing something and getting something is very different, right? For some people it happens quickly. I didn't have an entire life where my life was, in shambles.
Yes.
But again, 4 years of hell was enough for me to give you a statement and be like, I've been there, boo,
Mm,
got the
mm,
t-shirt, bought it, I'm
mm.
done. So everybody's experience with these types of things are very, very different. You also don't have to, your life doesn't
Absolutely.
have to completely, be demolished in order for you to realize something is up. However, this is a very powerful illness. It's a very powerful disease, right? And again, with the
Oh,
support of my
yes.
family, man, ooh, the support of my family, and my friends and my higher power. I don't know how I could have, been through this, but I did it. And again, something beautiful came out of this. My family, we were all able to find psychological healing through this process, because it was really the first time that we as a family was able to talk about the trauma that occurred so many years ago. It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing that was happening there. You know. And yeah, so in that way, I guess I'm quite privileged to have a family like I do. But I also choose to I choose to involve my family in my troubles today. I choose to involve them in my success. I choose to make them a part of my dream, because they were there first. Before any fan or any media, it was my family. And I will always go back home. I will always go to my family. You know, they keep me grounded.
Lots of, yeah. Lots of love and respect to you for holding it together, not just for yourself and not just for your close people that you love and you, but for just other girls, for girls coming from Worcester who have maybe come from the same situation as you, for other people and for other females who's in the same industry. Like you are holding so many, you're holding the flag and the torch for so many people and your family as well. So lots of respect for still being that powerful person, fighting and dealing with it and being so open and vulnerable to share exactly and everything. I mean, you left no stone unturned and it got as real as it could be, and you shared every single thing about it. And you're still so strong and you're still such a powerful person in the industry right now. You've actually played on both sides, be on the camera and behind the scenes. Now, with your
Yeah.
knowledge of being on both sides in the industry for such a long time, what would you say? What would you like to change behind the scenes in terms of production? What do people need to start thinking and looking into? And what would you like to see change from our actors on the scene, from the scene and behind the scene? What do you think is a bit missing?
I love that question, Lunga. It's something I kind of experienced in this production that I just finished with. So the channel is the SABC that I did this for, and then the company I was employed under is called Hipster Media, and it is the executive producer is Marcus Davies. All right, I didn't know Marcus when I first came into the job. I was brought in as a writer, and at that time I had already, I had some other writing acclaimed work, and so they contacted me. So first things first, why it is important for me to write, okay, and why it is important for me to produce. I think it's very evident that local South African programming um, is very poorly supported by its own citizens, right? Majority of us are
Yes.
online, or we tend to lean towards a westernized product of entertainment. And so even at university, and when I went back to Afda and to do my master's in producing, it was something that that we kind of researched and things like that. So you really have to look at the psychological aspect and the human behavior of why people choose these types of things. And what became apparent to me was that
Mm,
we uh, we work with very little budget, and somehow we are expected to kind of give you Vegas when we have Robertson money. Um, so you look at issues like that and you go, okay, cool. I see that this is a financial issue here. Great. Okay. One thing I've learned at Afda is how to make something out of nothing. So I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And I've got really good mates from varsity. We all studied like that. We would make 5-minute films with no money. Right. And and so what has to change, I wouldn't say change. I would say what has to evolve is narrative. Okay.
Okay.
We have to tell in-depth human stories, right? Now you can have an overall theme of, I don't know, let's take an overall theme. I'll give you an idea. I can talk about this because I pitched it a while ago. Okay, so we have an overall theme of a guy trying to live a straight life and not go back into his old life, right? But what is the thing that keeps him from wanting to go towards that new life, whatever? So he has a kid. He's just come out of prison. He has a kid, and he's a hardworking guy. He's a good guy. He does everything right. And we don't see that, We are normally immediately taken into either the character's world where there's just it's just demise. In particular, I'm talking about within our brown community, where there's demise and things like that. There's very little hero stories. I was born in the flats in Worcester, Riverview Fletcher. I have very good memories of growing up. People would say we were poor. I never felt it. I want to see the story of Uncle Johnny, who came out of prison after 10 years of doing whatever he did, but his entire life was turned around and he lived for his kids. He would get up every morning at 4 a.m. and go to the abolition slagpile or whatever, where he's chopping up meat, whatever, and come home and bring, like, for me, that is a human story of a human being trying to do the best that he can, and then life comes up and he has to make some decisions, right? He has to make some life decisions. I love those types of stories, because I think that is a little bit what is missing in South African local television programming. Is we missing the emotional intelligence, and we are missing the emotional engagement that we as human beings should have with these characters. And then for the actors, I would say, given the space, and I know this because I'm behind and in front, I, a lot of the times, just go, let me show you what I can do. I know what you're saying. Let me show you what I can do. And the number one thing I love saying to them is, I would never say it like that. No, actually, matter of fact, a brown woman would never say it like that. Because when you are when you notice people are trying to mold you away from who you authentically are, or the community or the culture you represent, in my world, that's very dangerous. I call that modern day colonization. You will not tell me how to phrase words that I know how to phrase just because it will make you feel comfortable. That I have to participate in your idea of what that language sounds like. So with me, that doesn't happen, because that is not art. That is not art. I'm an artist, first and foremost. I'm a true red-blooded artist to the bone. And the whole point of narration and storytelling is so that we move society into a united front, is that we move society into a space where they have a different perspective of who they are, that we move society into a place where they are okay with who they are okay with where they come from, and they know that they are not immune, or that they are not indifferent from having what it is that they want out of this world. So I think actors need to trust. I think actors need to really, I always like to say to my actors, put the character in your body. I love that. Put the character in your body. Take the character for a walk. So I don't stop learning. I don't. I want to. There's a book I'm reading at
Absolutely.
the moment. So there's a book I want to show you. This is one of my favorite books, and this I use when I'm writing. So there's actually two. So this is the one that I use when I'm writing. Okay, you can see. Okay, understanding
Bring in
human
more to that side.
interaction. This is you can see that.
Yeah.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite
Yep.
books. Now, bear in mind, this is the kind of book I would burn at school. Can you believe it? I would burn books that big at school. I never liked reading. Oh my goodness, I never liked it. But I cannot tell you
Yeah.
how important it is to my craft. You know, it is important that you are well informed about the world. That you're in and about the industry that you're in. Acting is not pretending. It is being. It is being. It is
Yes.
being. It is being, and then it is believing. Because if you believe it, I believe it as the consumer, as the viewer. I think we are just so afraid. Everybody likes to play it safe. Look, I'm not saying go insane, but I'm just saying push it a little bit, push the envelope a little bit, go to the edge, you know,
Yes.
and don't be afraid to man, just don't be afraid to be yourself. It's tough. Don't be afraid to be
Yeah.
yourself because there's no one like you, you know.
Yeah. On
So
that
that's what
note,
I would
on that
say.
note, Shimmy,
Yeah.
listen, wow, I've been enjoying. Yeah, I've been enjoying a conversation for so much. Like I've been seeing the time go. It's past an hour. The show should have ended long ago, but like it's been so fruitful and so much knowledge that I could take from this conversation. So thank you so much. And I do apologize for keeping you for more than I promised to keep you.
Why
But
you
I have to
apologize? I
ask you
got
my
nowhere to
final
go.
question before. No, because I didn't want to take up your time. You could be relaxing or doing whatever. I don't know if you even ate dinner before you did the show. So,
I
yeah, I
actually
have to ask you my
did.
final question. And
Yeah.
okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, but we need to wrap this up quickly. So, I got my final question for you. And it's a question that I ask every guest that come onto the show. I put you in my time machine and I want to take you back to a time. But so I feel like you have so many interesting times where you could actually go and speak to the younger you. But I want to take you back to maybe the time that when you noticed that shame for the first time, because that's when you made a decision. That's when you were like, you know what? Because of all of this and what my mother's been through, that's when you decided, I'm going to become Shimmy Isaac and not just be Shimmy, I'm going to become Shimmy Isaac. So I'm going to take you back
Yeah.
to that time. And it's the Shimmy of today, having been through everything that you've been through, walk the journey, know what you know now. I give you like a few minutes that you have to spend with that younger Shimmy. What advice would that be?
Keep doing what you're doing, girl. There's nothing wrong with you. Keep doing what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with you.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's what I would say. And you know what's funny, Lunga?
That's
I
powerful.
knew I would have this life. I
That's
knew I
powerful.
would
That
have
is
this
powerful.
life. I knew that this would be my life. Hands down.
Absolutely. And you fought for it and now you're living it. Amazing. Shimmy Isaacs, you are such an amazing being. And wow, I mean, just in person, you've always showed me love. You've always been kind and you've always looked out for me. Even this year, you gave me a really lovely opportunity, which is going to actually elevate my brand. So I appreciate that so much. And Shimmy
Absolutely,
got me
man.
onto Lach Clive. You already know about that. The
I got
company's going
plans
to
for this
be
young guy.
actually, guys, keep your eyes tuned. Yeah, I've been speaking about Lahme class. So, guys, stay tuned. You're going to see myself. You're going to see Shemi and all these other amazing people out there. Shemi, before I let you go, I'm going to let you say one last thing to your fans. Any shout outs there you want to give to the people or whatever?
Yo,
Or where
yo, I
to
just want to
find
say.
you on your socials, to just to be part of your journey.
Oh, I'm literally at Shimmy Isaacs everywhere. I was so lucky that I was able to get that early in the game when this whole thing started with Twitter. You know what I'm saying? So I'm at Shimmy Isaacs everywhere on every single platform. Shimmy Isaacs Comedian on Facebook, Shimmy Isaacs Artist. That's my Facebook fan page. at Shimmy Isaacs Instagram, at Shimmy Isaacs Twitter, at Shimmy Isaacs TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. You guys need to help me there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But I just want to send a shout out to my friend Lunga. We are hilarious, and I also want to say that comedians out here, we also know how to like have in-depth, like we know how to get to the, we can give you a little bit of a tear rolling down your eye as well. So shout out to just everyone, man. If you got up today and you finished what you set out to do, then you know what, you did good. You did good. You did good.
Shimmy, you are amazing, and I've learned so much from you. And my respect for you was already there, but it's like through the roof now. I want to just steal more of your time and more of your knowledge. And I wish you the best with your journey. And yes, we're gonna
Thanks,
do a lot
bud.
of work together as well. Ons moet lekker praat.
Nee, ek is
So like
klaar.
yeah, thank you so much, Shimmy. Thank you so much, Shimmy. Stay in touch, and I'll be seeing you next week and Monday, I believe. Yeah, we'll be sharing the stage together.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And have a lovely evening further to you. Thank you so much, and good night, Shimmy.
Love you, buddy. Love you, buddy. Love you guys.
Love you too. Love you too. All right. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I know I went a little bit over time, but you can't tell me that you did not enjoy that or you did not learn anything from that. But it's fine. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for being through, even through all the small glitches and everything. You guys still stick through all the shares and all the likes. I appreciate you. I see you. And I couldn't do this and I couldn't grow without every single one of you. So continue to do that, please. It means a lot, not just for the algorithms, but for the growth of my brand too. So thank you very much. My name is Lunga Tshuka. I've had the best time tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. If you haven't seen the other episodes yet, you can catch it on YouTube at Lunga Tshuka. You can catch all the episodes of The Price of Fame. If you like to follow me for my comedy journey and MC journey and all the other crazy things that I've been getting up to, you can catch me on Facebook at Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. That is Lunga Tshuka, the Energizer Funny. And on Instagram, you can catch me at Lunga Tshuka. That is it from me, ladies and gentlemen. That is it from all of us here, the team at Price of Fame, which is only 2 people. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. This is The Price of Fame. Good night.